Welcome back one and all for the latest episode of the Good, the Bad and the Ugly at Liverpool FC podcast, brought to you by the LFC File and of course my good self, Ben Green. Thank you very much for stopping by. As always, this is greatly appreciated, and I would like to just point out that if this content does float your boat, remember to like, subscribe, press the notification bell, tell your friends and fam. Please do leave a comment so I know what your thoughts are with regards to agreeing or not with my version of the good, the bad and the ugly at Liverpool this week. And before we get going, two things to mention. Firstly, as you may know, the two of you that watch the podcast, there is now an audio version which is available on Apple Podcast and Spotify, and I will leave a link below in the description, so please do check it out if you're not able to watch this YouTube version. So trying to cater for all needs here. Secondly, of course, a reminder that the 24-25 season review is out for the LFC File Good, the Bad and the Ugly podcast. So if you don't know, there is a book which is published at the end of each season, and last season's is out now. I think there's a picture of it here somewhere, and if you would be so kind as to purchase a copy, it would massively help to support the channel and help me to continue to make this content for you. So that will be very much appreciated. So yes, many thanks in advance if you decide to do that. Moving swiftly on to the good. And what is there good at Liverpool FC this week? Not much, I hear you shout. And you're probably right, but I'm trying to make positive out of a pretty negative situation. I would say the two goods for me are drawing to Sunderland, albeit, two fortunate goals for either side actually. I believe the Sunderland goal went in off Virgil van Dijk's arse, and what we all thought was Florian Wirtz's first goal for Liverpool ended up to be a deflection and was therefore classified as an own goal because apparently the shot was deemed not to be goalward bound, which does make sense, I suppose, in all fairness. So what's good about that? We didn't lose. And this, I think, is an important note. It's 1 point. 1 point is better than none. And as was reported by the official site here, Liverpool held by Sunderland in Anfield draw, writes James Carroll. And yes, held to a draw. I think we were, I wouldn't say fortunate to get a draw, because as I say, I think Liverpool played fairly well. And I think Arne Slot made another bold decision in leaving Mo Salah on the bench. But we will come on to Mr. Salah later. So yes, not the best of results, but as I say, could be worse. And the second good that we have is Liverpool's 3-3 draw with Leeds United. And why is that good? I think, again, 1 point is better than none, and of course 3 points is better than one. This is certain. But I think the team is not in the best place at the moment for various reasons, and I think the reason has reared its ugly head today, as it's Sunday at the day of recording, so maybe this will probably be out tomorrow now. But we'll get onto that a bit later. But at 2-0 up, Ekitike, or as I call him, Hugo Ekitike, scored 2 quick-fire goals, very good goals actually. Real poachers' goals, I would say. And Liverpool were 2-0 up and cruising. I have to say, it's not as if they could have sort of left the pitch and still won, but they were cruising and Leeds were kind of on the ropes. But as we know, this Leeds side is no pushover. They got back into the game 2-2. And despite Dominic Szoboszlai putting Liverpool back in front, the Achilles heel, the dreaded set piece, was able to undo Liverpool's efforts once again. as what's his name, El Tanaka, wasn't it? Was able to snatch an equaliser in the dying minutes for Liverpool. I thought 9 minutes extra time was a little bit rich, actually, to be honest. But it was reported by Zinny Boswell and Sky Sports, where his headline is Liverpool 3, Leeds 3, or Leeds 3, Liverpool 3, to say it the correct way round. Aaron Tanaka's stoppage time goal denies Arne Slot chance to move 5th in the Premier League. He goes on to say Liverpool led through Hugo Ekitiki's double, but Dominic Kluivert-Lewin, the ex-Blue Nose, and Anton Stach brought Leeds level. Dominic Szoboszlai's late goal was cancelled out by Aaron Tanaka, and I think that pretty much sums it up. It's a shame, actually. I thought we were looking very good value at 2-0, but as I say, you have to give credit to Leeds, very tenacious side, and they got themselves level. And really, Szoboszlai's goal should have wrapped the whole thing up. But for whatever reason, this team is just unable to defend set pieces. And so here we are, unable to move up to 5th, but in keeping with the good, or the positive, Liverpool have moved up to 8th place. Could be overtaken by Brighton, but let's see first. I think it could be a lot worse. Not much worse, but it could be worse. And I think being 8th in the table doesn't look quite as bad as being sort of 12th or 13th as we were coming into the week. You have to take what positives you can, can't you? And that brings us this week on to, swiftly, the bad. And the bad this week is, of course, throwing away the 2-0 lead. But as it was reported in the Mirror, Arne Slot points blame for Liverpool's struggles and the reason they can't be higher up the table. This was reported by Nathan Ridley in the Mirror, and he says Liverpool squandered the lead twice in their dramatic 3-3 draw with Leeds United on Saturday, continuing a miserable season for the Premier League champions, who are down in 8th. There's not really much you can say against that, but I think Arne Slot, having watched his post-match, I think he was quite right in kind of saying, we can't concede that many goals and expect to be higher up the table. Set pieces it seems like they just can't defend, and it was the same last season as well. Actually, to be fair, they didn't concede as many goals, but after they won the league, the team just collapsed. So it's nothing new. I think it still needs to be improved as from last season. But I have an element of sympathy with Arne Slot. We have to remember, I think he did say in one of the previous interviews that before one of the previous matches, he said that they'd been practicing defending set pieces and long throw-ins. And more than that, he can't do. You can say whatever you want, but at the end of the day, I personally believe the players have to take a bit more responsibility. It's not just Arne Slot's fault. Van Dijk, he's not really been at the races. Konate looks as if he's got 2 left feet, and he's probably one of the most ungainly players I've ever seen. He always looks as if he has a mistake in him. Oh yeah, he gave away a penalty, didn't he, against Leeds? Well, there you go, there's a surprise. Conor Bradley hasn't been superb. He's out the next game. He got a yellow card needlessly in yesterday's game. I would say the only player who has really sort of remotely impressed me. Ekitike has been good. He's kind of saved our bacon. Szoboszlai has been pretty consistent. Curtis Jones, I think against Leeds, I think he had a really good game, and he was playing in this 6th role most of the time. And I think he had a really good game actually, and he had a hand in I think in the first goal, if not the second. I think he had a good game. He looked as if he really wanted it yesterday. And this is something that I don't see from many of the Liverpool players. Kirkes a little bit more improved, slightly more improved, I would say. He's good going forward, but his defending has been a bit ropey. But I think he was okay yesterday. Not brilliant, but he was all right. You can see he's getting a bit better. Isak, I wouldn't say what a waste of money, but you couldn't blame the opposition fans for singing that. To be honest, he's not properly fit, and he needs to get going and da-di-da-di-da. So, that's as it is with Isak. It's a kind of leftover from the summer and the whole transfer situation, I would say. But the players have not covered themselves in glory. It's the same old story. It's the same old story. Covered themselves in glory. It's the same old story. There you go. Back to the poetic side of the podcast. Not brilliant. So I kind of have a lot of sympathy for Slot. I don't think he is entirely to blame. But he says you can't expect us to be any higher in the table, and I think this was a message for the players as well. You can't expect to be higher in the table if you can't defend a bloody set piece. It's just it's getting a bit it's getting so predictable now, really. And I would expect these players. I don't want to say for the amount they get paid, but you can't overlook that. But for me, it's more the fact that they're experienced players, a lot of them. These guys, they're kicking ball every day. Yeah. So you would expect them to have a bit more about them when it comes to the game. Yes, of course, they're in front of people. There's, stuff going on in the game that we don't necessarily see or hear or what have you. Granted. But still, I would expect more from the players, and the players have to be more accountable, if you ask me. It's not just, Arne Slot is not a bloody magician. Yeah, he's he may not have the emotional clout as Klopp, but at the end of the day, last season he was able to get them to win the league, and this was no mean feat. So, I wouldn't say that it's entirely Mr. Slot's problem or fault. Just trying to get my notes open again. So yeah, that's the bad. Excuse my chair. Bit of a sort of moan from me. I think, as I say, the players need to take more of accountability, and that brings us swiftly on to the news, which is probably going to dominate the next week or two. But it's something that I believe goes some way to explaining why Liverpool where they are at the moment. And this is as reported in the Daily Mail and pretty much everywhere else. Is Mo Salah's interview, or as Lewis Steele would describe it here, Mo Salah drops Liverpool exit bombshell. A bombshell. Angry Anfield hero says he has no relationship with Arne Slot and has been thrown under the bus, revealing Brighton clash may be his last game for the club. Well, I'm sorry, Mo, for all the good you've done for us and everything. If that's the way you feel, then, good riddance to bad rubbish. What I saw of the interview, with all of these things, with football, with, if you're a Formula One driver, rugby player, whatever, you're only as good as your last game. You're only as good as your last race. You're only as good as your last performance, really. There is not a player who kind of says, well, I played well a couple of weeks ago, I deserve to be in the team. If the last game was a couple of weeks ago, then fair enough. But if there's been 3 games since and you've been shit, then no, you don't deserve to be in the team, unfortunately. Regardless of what's gone on in the past, it's all been very nice. Thank you very much, Mo. From the bottom of my heart, I've been a huge fan. I still am, but I think you just have not helped yourself with this situation. And there was a bit in the interview where he was saying after all I've done for the club, words to the effect of why should I have to sit on the bench, because you're not playing well, Mo. It's simple. You're not playing well, and if you're not playing well, you can't be in the team. Not a Liverpool team. Maybe with all due respect to the other teams, maybe a Sunderland you would still get in the side, or an Everton, or whoever, but not if you know the standards that Liverpool have, and if you're not playing well, then you don't deserve to be in the team. It's the same. It should be the same at any club. But definitely Liverpool, the standards are much higher. This is why they're arguably the most successful team in British history. One or two might argue otherwise, whatever, fine. But arguably, as I say, they're in the discussion. And this doesn't come about through having players who think they're bigger than the club, in effect, or believe that because they've played well in the past, they automatically deserve a place in the team or shouldn't be left on the bench. But mate, you've not been scoring. There were numerous occasions where you could have done a bit better, in my opinion. And again, I'm sure if he's here, oh yeah, but I've done this and I've done that, and you haven't done anything, I couldn't give a shit. I've played football before. Football is not a difficult game, really. And which makes it all the more baffling why sometimes players make the decisions they do. But again, pressure, crowd, noise, stuff going on in the game, fine. But, I think for this kind of outburst, it's just not on, mate. And he goes on to say here, Mohamed Salah has hinted he has played his last game for Liverpool and says he has been thrown under the bus by the club and Arne Slot, who he has no relationship with. The big earning Egyptian, they have to put that in there, the big earning Egyptian, was an unused substitute for the Champions 3-3 draw at Leeds, which saw them concede a 96th minute equaliser. Yes, and they've been playing other games where Mo has been on the team and they've still conceded equalisers or losing goals. Salah sought our reporters after the game for a bombshell rant about the situation, which has seen him benched for 3 straight games. I could not believe I was sitting on the bench for 90 minutes, he said. That's the 3rd time. It's the first time in my career, I think. This is what I mean. It's like, yes, it may well be the first time, Mo, but I mean, this is what it is. Maybe it's age. I don't know what it is. But there's some reason why you're not performing at the level that Slot, the team, the club, the fans, whatever, would expect. And if you're upset and you kind of say, Slot doesn't like me, or we have no relationship, we used to get on, whatever, okay, well, sorry you feel that way. But that's how it is. All empires crumble at some point, unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be. Lord knows where he'd be. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'm done. It's not quite that bad. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'm going to wrap it up there. I don't think there's much else to say that hasn't been or won't be said over the next few days, but this is my take on the situation. Sad state of affairs. Let's see if we can turn it around against Brighton. And I believe Inter Milan on, when's this going to be? On Tuesday. Also, that's going to be a big game. And let's see how they come back from that. And we have a regular kickoff, 3 o'clock, against Brighton on Saturday. That's nice, that the team kicks off at a reasonable hour. Good. So, looking forward to that. As I said, if this content has floated your boat, please do remember to like, subscribe, press the notification bell, comment, say, Ben, you're a knob, whatever it is you think, let me know. And I'm more than happy to take the flak or the plaudits, whatever it's going to be. So yes, until then, Look after yourselves, guys, and one another. Have a good week ahead, and you'll never walk alone. Peace. Your LFC File.